on Pear Deck. So this is Pear Deck right here, just peardeck.com. I've logged in under my account, my school account, and I'm going to click here and we're going to start a presentation in Google Slides. And still thinking, I'm going to make sure that we're going to open up our Pear Deck. So that's over here in add-ons. When you click add-ons, I already have Pear Deck downloaded, so I don't have to do it again. But otherwise, you're just going to click here and say get add-ons. There's directions right here when you open it. We're going to go ahead and delete that page. There are different sections down here. So one is beginning of lesson, during lesson, and end of lesson. And then there's some featured content down here. So right now it's like there's things on social emotional learning. Sometimes you see things on critical thinking, different things. And then there's just different options of things that you might want to have your students be able to do. We're going to start up here at the beginning of the lesson. And maybe you want to do a drawing slide. I do a lot of drawing slides just because my students are on iPads and drawing is super easy for them. So 2 things you already know about today's topic. Maybe you want to change that and make it more specific for what you're teaching today. 2 things that you remember about the American Revolution, or 2 things that you remember about habitats that we learned about yesterday. Whatever the case may be. When you're ready, you go over here, click back. During the lesson, there's all kinds of things. Just a text slide, important events, true and false. These are great for polls that you're doing in the middle of class. How are you feeling about what we're learning? What we just covered, draw and label, all different things. So right, if I'm doing one on habitats, I might add this one right here. When you want to click it, you just click on the picture, you want to add it, and it's going to insert it right underneath for you. Sometimes it takes a second. So there it is, right? Draw a line from the images to place them right on the map. So where can we find a swamp? Where can we find the oceans? Where can we find a forest? If you want to change these things, just simply click on them, delete them, and change them. There's also slide graphs, drawing graphs, pictures, all kinds of things in here. They've done a great job of curating a lesson library that you can really build from. And then come for the end of the lesson, maybe you want to, one thing that you learned, 2 things that you did. How are you feeling about what you know? Do you feel like you've got it? Do you feel like you need more help? And then I'm not going to add any of this content, but I just want to show you the social emotional learning section down here. So what is mindfulness, positive self-talk, empathy, emotional vocabulary, right? So they've done a great job of just building in activities down here that create a lesson for you and that you can use as jumping points for your students. So now you're ready to use this. So we're going to click here, present lesson. You're going to see here, it's going to give you a class code that's going to project. Your students are going to go here to this joinpd.com and they're going to type in this. They're not going to type in these words down here. They're just going to type in the letters. Once they're done, you'll close the code. You're presenting. You can see that right here that it's green. You're presenting. Right now I have no students connected, but you could. If your students somehow lose it, you can click on this again and present the code and then close it. Whichever slide the yellow box is around is the one that your students are going to be able to see on their device on their end. Maybe you're getting ready to give directions for this slide and you don't want the students touching anything, go ahead. You can easily unlock their screens just again by touching it. Maybe you're on this slide and you want the kids to be able to share what they've done or to talk about the different responses that you've seen for 2 things that you already know. So you can click on show responses. And whatever this red box is around is now the students are seeing it, which is super duper handy. You do have this little 3 dot down here and you can make this full screen, open projection, new tab, turn on student pace. So maybe you just want this running on their own, and when they're done, they're done. So you click on that turn on student pace and your students can just go. They'll click through the pace on their own. When you're done, click end, right? Like, yeah, I'm sure. and give it a session name. So I'm going to call this Demo 1, save it in the session, right? Your students are sending their takeaways. You can share it to Google Classroom, and you're finished. So that's Pear Deck. I hope you enjoyed.